Hello, my name is O. Tatum Speaks. If you're new here, please like my videos, subscribe to my channel, share my videos, share my channel, and most of all, comment. Please comment. It helps me articulate my positions better, and it also may change my perspective on things. I've always been receptive to different perspectives. Whether I change my mind or not doesn't matter. I think the most important thing is being receptive, because again, that'll either help you articulate your own argument, or it'll help you understand just where other people are coming from, which is probably the most important thing in having a conversation, is being able to listen, comprehend, and then respond if needed, or just take it all in. Hunter Biden is back, and he's not in the news because his father overclouded what he's doing. And I think it was very calculated. Not by him, but by his handlers, because obviously Joe Biden can't calculate anything. But his handlers have calculated, okay, Hunter Biden is now testifying in a hearing about his misdeeds overseas and Joe Biden's involvement in his overseas misdeeds. That's the most important part of this. We've heard, oh, Joe Biden, he knew nothing about his son's business dealings, and he actually said that himself.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated.
I've never even asked about his business dealings. And then it came out that, yes, he actually was on phone calls. And here we are, emails, 20 some odd meetings later with between Joe Biden and Hunter's business partners.
The National Archives and Records Administration has admitted having more than 5,000 emails in which then Vice President Biden used a pseudonym for government business. The Southeastern Legal Foundation is now suing the government agency under the Freedom of Information Act, demanding access to the email messages which utilize aliases including Robin Ware, J.R.B. Ware, and Robert L. Peters.
We have the FOIA statute for a reason, and it says that any government records can be produced, obviously with exceptions of attorney-client privilege and some other limited national security exceptions. These records certainly do not fall under that. These are emails where Joe Biden used fake email addresses. He used pseudonyms to send government information to his son. At that point, they become public records.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer now wants to see all of the pseudonym emails, as well as unredacted versions of the few that have been made public.
What we're doing now is we're putting a timeline together on all these bank transfers that we've identified, all the bank wires. We're trying to now put a timeline with communications that Hunter had with his father, with his so-called associates. And we're finding that now he was on Air Force 2 a whole lot more than anyone thought.
To date, the House Oversight Committee has published 3 bank records memorandums. The third, which alleges how during Joe Biden's vice presidency, his family and their business associates received over $20 million from foreign sources. In a statement, Mr. Comer said it appears no real services were provided for the money other than access to the Biden network, which included Joe Biden himself.
This is payback for the millions of dollars that the Biden family received because of their access to the brand, to the big guy being Joe Biden. There were no services being delivered except for access.
I guess the question is, why is this important? Well, I would say we would not be in the war in Ukraine if not for Hunter Biden. That's how serious this is. Now, you may be saying, oh, Jesus, this guy's really gone off his rocker. But no, I've made the case that we would not be in the war in Ukraine right now if not for Hunter Biden. And I think I made not only a sound case, but I think I've given irrefutable proof to the fact that Hunter Biden is the reason why Joe Biden is beholden to Ukrainians and to the Chinese and involved in this war. He cannot get out. We cannot get out. If we cannot get out, the Ukrainians have more than enough to prove that Joe Biden is 100% corrupt. Now, we already know this is the case.
Much of the focus again relates to Ukrainian energy giant Burisma, where Hunter Biden served on the board. But one of the allegations surrounds a 2014 transfer of $3.5 million to a shell company called Rosemont Seneca Thornton from Russian billionaire Yelena Baturina. Of this money, $750,000 was transferred to Devon Archer. You'll remember he recently gave closed-door testimony to the House Oversight Committee. And the remainder of the money was used to initially fund a new company account, Rosemont Seneca Bohai, which Devon Archer and Hunter Biden used to receive other foreign wires.
The confirmation is where you're like, oh my goodness. Like one of my last videos, I showed the Arizona GOP chair outright trying to bribe a Senate candidate, Carrie Lake. It's one thing to hear it and everybody's, oh yeah, the government's corrupt. It's another thing to see it. And when you see it or you hear it, it's like, oh man, this is real. It hits a little bit differently. So Joe Biden goes down to the border to obviously overshadow what's going on with Hunter, and Hunter confirming a lot of things and denying a lot of things. Obviously, anything that made him look negative, he just said, oh, I was high. I was drunk. Oh, those are racist things, but I didn't mean it. I was drunk, I was high. I was saying racist things. I was doing criminal things. I was being disgusting. I was dealing with all these whores. All the stuff that I was doing was because I was high. So Joe Biden had to mask this stuff. And how did he mask it? He goes down to the border and he talks about climate change.
The idea there's no such thing as climate change. I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change. Well, my administration is going to keep building on the progress we've made fighting climate crisis, and we're going to help folks rebuild themselves in the wake of these disasters. And we rebuild to the standards that are up-to-date standards and building codes and the rest.
He goes down to one of the safest areas of the Texas border. In the last 5 days before he went down there, they had 46 illegal crossings. I don't know if you know anything about the Texas border, but where he went in Brownsville, they actually used barbed wire and fencing to stop illegal immigration. So where did Joe Biden go to show that everything's fine and dandy?
Texas National Guard in Brownsville now putting up reinforced razor wire along the banks of the Rio Grande.
Yeah, this is being done to prevent migrants from crossing from Mexico. Our border reporter Sandra Sanchez brings us an exclusive look at that work being done today.
As we're placing what we call ACB or anti-climb barrier.
In just 4 days, Texas National Guard Captain Chris Daniels' team has put up 3,000 feet of this concertina wire fence that starts at the Gateway International Bridge.
But we're installing these panels 2 at a time. And what it's doing is it's reinforcing the concertina that's already there on the bank to try to, stop the migrant traffic that's moving through between these ports of entries here.
The new concertina wire is part of Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star, which deploys Texas National Guardsmen to the border to build this barrier. Currently, the barrier is going up across from a camp in Matamoros, Mexico.
They built an essential wall. I thought he was against that. He's definitely against that. On the flip side of that, you'll see Donald Trump went down to the border, but he went to an area where in the last 5 days before he got there had 2,000 border crossings in Eagle Pass. There's a literal crisis going on there, and that's where he went. Biden wants to make it look better, just like he lies and says inflation is great, employment is great, the markets are great, everything's great. Your food prices, crime, homelessness, everything is so much better than you guys are thinking it is. I know you guys see stuff happening. I know you guys see illegals killing.
I'm here to share that we have a suspect in custody for Lakeland's murder. We are obtaining arrest warrants for Jose Antonio Ibarra, 26 years of age. He lives here in Athens, but is not a U.S. citizen.
American after American after American and after more Americans. I know you guys see this happening, but it's not really happening. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be rehashing this Hunter Biden thing because it's way more serious and there's not enough coverage for my liking. I think there should be way more coverage on Hunter Biden than Joe Biden's fake visit to the border. Remember, Kamala was supposed to be the czar. She visited the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. He's been to the border. Everyone's been to the border. Going forward, starting today, I'm going to post one Hunter Biden video per day that I've made, because I think I have like 10 of them. Hunter Biden's going to be doing a public hearing with the House very soon. I want to say May, but it could be March. This is a prerequisite to that. You got to know what's going on here to understand what's going on there, because they're going to try to downplay it. But he confirmed a lot of things. We're going to be exploring this. I'm going to put these Hunter Biden videos up for everyone to see, and I'm going to do it in order from how I made them from the very beginning. I want to say it was right after the war in Ukraine started, maybe a week or two after the war in Ukraine started, because I've been on this since the beginning. We should not have been in this war, and I put 2 and 2 together and came up with 4. The media puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with 36. I don't know how they're doing that, but that's what they're doing. They're talking about democracy and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about democracy in a country that's swarming with Nazism, that jails Christians. This is the place we're defending right now, and we're using those very things as an excuse to be there. We're talking about, communists, Vladimir Putin's the one who's in there, and Putin bad, communism bad, which it is, and which he is. But that's not why we're there. We're not there for that. We're there for money, laundering, and lots of corruption. That's why we're there. We don't really care about communism. We don't really care about Vladimir Putin. He's our boogeyman. Anytime something goes wrong, no matter what it is, blame Putin. For our election issues, for our integrity issues, for everything that happens on the left. We want to blame him for every war. We want to blame him for every conflict around the world. We want to blame him for why our inflation is high. But it's not going to work. People have seen through it. Tucker did a great interview with Vladimir Putin, which shows he is off, but he's way more sound than our president. And he's way sharper than our president. And he's way smarter than our president, which should be terrifying to everyone. While he's sitting there talking about climate change and equity, our military is focusing on climate change and equity.
We must set our sights higher and focus on intentional inclusivity, because there are still far too many people out there, not just LGBTQ individuals, that feel marginalized, shut out, or discriminated against. So for all of you out there, I ask you to set out your symbols of pride, share your pronouns in your email, particularly if you're a person who doesn't think they need to.
May this appointment today be the first of many more to come, as we create a diverse and more inclusive future. Diversity makes us stronger. Each person has a different perspective and different strengths that they bring to make the whole community stronger. The time is now for our country to continue to move the bar forward for diversity.
What should we be focused on? America. That's what we should be focused on. Our veterans, our homeless. That's what we should be focused on. We shouldn't be putting illegals into 4-star hotels. We shouldn't be turning our airports into tent cities. We shouldn't be using police stations to harbor illegals. It really makes no sense. It really doesn't. Meanwhile, other police stations are around our country being run by the Chinese. But that's another topic.